call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for divanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. It's Space Couch. Ray, friend of the show, already in the chat room. What's up, buddy? Um, it's been another week. Earth time, so I understand it's space and time curve, obviously this far out in the void, so I get a little bit, uh, off time, if you will, except to do the same show every day or every Sunday at the same time, so, I got to be doing something right. Speaking of doing something right, let's circle back to this week's advertisers. Brand new this week, we're going to check out Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out the new album Crudmouth. That's me and Volt 9000 pretending we were in grunge bands from the 90s. Bitman from England just released Lockdown Lullabies. It's really great. Night Vibes from Ghost Proxy, now out of Montreal. Melting Rust Opera from Germany. That's a crazy album. Virtual Terrorist, Edmonton's own, remixes album. Great. Cut Brain, that's myself and Big Time Kill, Double the Boston. Neon Roads from Norway's Industrial. It's a new single. Sad Girls Club Volume 5 from Italy, from Sydney, Australia. It's wonderful. The new Gothsicles album, Animal Songs. 10 songs about animals is out now. Putting the Stars Right, the giant, massive compilation benefiting the H.P. Lovecraft Arts and Sciences Council, featuring new tracks from, I don't know, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. Speaking of, watch this segue. Speaking of my life, we're going to go back in time, sort of, meaning that we're going to meet some people that were really formative in my musical journey, but it's not a complete retrospective because they got a new album out and it's wonderful. DJ D42, what's going on in Twitch? Let's just bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. Rocket Bureau, what is up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, brother. It's good to see you.
It is. I realized I forgot to. I had sound professionals on and I forgot to check levels, but it's we're pretty good. We're pretty good. We'll just like any good show, you might lose the first track and then you'll figure it out by about halfway through the second verse. What is up, guys? Super great to not only see you, but it costs billions of dollars to beam the signal from there in Wisconsin up here to the outer rings of Pluto. Pluto has rings now, apparently. Not that I didn't misspeak. I just discovered them.
Oh, wow.
The let's start. Let's start with, I guess, at the start. Dan, you and I were just talking about how we had a SOAR, the orientation program at UW-Madison. We talked about Devo, and then just spent the whole day going over Star Wars and synthesizers. And you're like, yeah, I'm playing in this band. I know this guy. And then I finally got to meet Kyle. I was involved in a project called Sleeping Disorder, and you were known unto me at that time as the Clones.
Yes.
And I don't know. It was just we almost shouldn't have worked because like you guys are so rock, and I was so like, if there's not a synthesizer, and I don't know what's going on. But we really just we got along, and I learned so much. Like, oh, if you double up your vocals, okay, because that was at that stage where you're like, and this is before iPhones and everybody had like a full production studio in their pocket. You're just like, oh, okay, so I can record on the computer. This is crazy, or DAT tape or 4-track or whatever you were using at the time. And you guys would regale me of tales of Anago, Wisconsin, and I was, I'm coming from the big city of Milwaukee. We meet in the middle at Madison. So I sort of turned Sleeping Disorder with one or two tracks into what is now known. I say now, it's been going for 20 plus years. The Gothsicles, and the clones became, after a few iterations, uh, Rocket Bureau. Um, I want to. I'm going to tie it back in just because this made me laugh. I don't know if this is going to be fun for anybody else in the audience, but but I bought your new record, and you wrote Mers Bowling on the back of it, which was, I think, the last song ever recorded by Sleeping Disorder, and I was just like, wow, that is what what cosmic factors had to come into alignment for this joke to work. Like, I don't know what is up to Matt from Gothic Unseen, who helped us put out that Putting the Stars Right compilation. So, um, I'm going to turn it over to you in just a second because I want to know all about this. Rocket Bureau Middle Angst out now on vinyl. It gorgeous presentation. It sounds wonderful. It We were yakking before the show. Don't let me put words in your mouth, but to me, it's such a celebration of what I know to be your sound from 1999, uh, but evolved in such a way that it's very grown up, but still inimitably you. Um, let's Well, I'm going to back up even a bit from there. We, I don't, Your Bandcamp wasn't bursting with material, but we start up again in 2016
Mhm.
with some peppered in wonderful Kyle tracks, and then you sort of hit the ground running in late 2000, culminating in Middle Angst here. Tell me about the process and uh, the sort of the ramp up to release.
Oh, sure. The process for that record was breaking every rule I have about recording, and that is don't second guess yourself. Um, Once it's done, it's done, and don't keep trying to redo everything and making it better, even though
Really?
it's yes. Like the that record, I started recording that in 2016.
Okay.
I recorded it. I recorded the entire thing. I think 5 times total.
Wow. Okay.
There
So,
were some technical problems with the first couple passes, and then after that, I was just insane and way into my own head about it,
mm-hmm,
and had to finally just cut it off and be like, "It's as good as it's gonna be. It's
mm-hmm.
done." Um, yeah, and then when I was ready to get it pressed up on vinyl and release it, was right around the time pandemic hit, which also there was also a big problem with vinyl manufacturing,
Mm,
where one of the two places that make lacquers, which you need to get cut before
mm-hmm.
you can have the record produced, one of the two places burnt down at the same time, which caused like a giant
Oh,
uh,
that's how
across the
hot the album is. They burn.
yes, across the entire vinyl manufacturing industry.
Right. It's even just there, and I'm very excited personally to see you both. Normally, I really try to let the guest talk because otherwise, what's the point? But now I'm double pumped up. So just if I start going off on a tear, let me know. Plus, I drink a lot of coffee these days. I went through the Thundercats mug, and we're on to the Soy Calf Shadowrun mug today because you know, why change? Um, it's such a skill to know. I mean, it's such a cliche to say that good songs are never finished; they're just abandoned. But
Yeah.
there is some merit in there. Like, I mean, I'm sure you both have, spent all night mixing a song, and you wake up and it's worse. Like, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
you
There,
can reach a point where, what is it? Do you just have to? Is it recognizing that there's not going to be this angelic epiphany like of ha, or is it
Yep.
just in developing a sense of this is probably it, or is it something else?
I do want to say like there's a split, right? Because Kyle does all the recording himself. When it comes to Rocket Bureau proper, the things that people hear on their computer
Hmm.
machines, right, and on the vinyl. But the live version of Rocket Bureau was as close as I've ever seen them as staging an intervention on Kyle over this album. Like there was like we were like, dude, we really were starting to worry about you because we had this shared drive going with all these mixes, and like it was like mix 1 through 16 on like
Oh
every track. And
no.
like and he's like, I just need you guys to I got another mix or I got another master, and we're like, dude, you're good. You're good. Yeah, you can try. We're in a safe place. You're in a good space.
Yeah, I
We're in
mean,
it.
well,
And
but there's always that danger, right? Like I'm doing this new band called Cup Rain, and the guy with whom I'm working is great, and he sends me this great demo. I'm like, okay, sweet, let's put it out. 6 seconds. I go, no, 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 and he's like, no, but let me try something else, and it comes back. I'm like, shit, this is like clearly better. Like it's just better. So it's like now I have this ghost in my head that like I can't just stop shitting out chip tunes or whatever, but you can reach a limit. You can easily reach that you know, you
yeah,
start hearing only I'm going to know the difference in between this bass line and that bass line. Speaking of which, Dan, you are doing live bass for Rocket Bureau now, or okay, sweet,
I am.
okay,
Yep. I'm doing live bass for Rocket Bureau, and honestly, that's about it these days. I used to have a few more things going back in my younger years, back when we knew each other, but um, Kyle's my main guy, and I don't know if I'd play for very many other people than Kyle these days. Kyle is a friend and worth everyone's time, so everyone needs
it's
time
that
for Kyle.
is that is true. That was seeing you guys play live with a band we actually haven't brought up yet. The Motors was one of my great joys all throughout undergrad. Um, and I just, Kyle, I have to go through the same a little bit of commiseration. And now the place didn't burn down, but I just stepped into the vinyl world a bit, and all the stuff's coming from Taiwan, and they were like, "You can do this if you want." Uh, interesting time to select to but they were it took a while to get it in, and costs are not insignificant. But
yeah.
just I've never done it before. Having that big F off vinyl just in my hands, like it's awesome. And I know I'm not gonna go down this road, but to me it sounds better. Vinyl just sounds better. It does.
it
Um,
it can sound amazing.
it
It can
can it can sound
it can
like
also
hot boiled butts, but I really do dig it. Um, So that's enough of me yapping. Let's get into the product itself, man. How do you feel about this record?
I feel good about it now. I've got some great feedback from some people who seem to really be enjoying it. I really wanted it to end up being something that people who like it will find it, and then it'll be something that they listen to regularly, not just like, here's a cool new thing that I
Mm-hmm.
heard, that's neat, and then off to the pile of forgotten stuff
Mm-hmm.
immediately. That was my goal, and I think it's slowly getting there.
That is
I
an
I hate,
interesting.
I hate promotion, so I'm
Mm.
really bad at that, and that's a problem.
It is. That's funny you bring that up. It is so replayable. The track length is all over the place. So it's kind of this winding road, and the music on it is so palatable. It's not like a noise album or something. You got to like kind of be, all right, I'm ready to do it. But it's not
Yeah.
easy listening. I mean, it's four chords and a cloud of dust. Pardon the pun. The Let's take a little bit of a listen to that. This is "Summertime Crime" off of Middle Lengths.
Windows are rolled, way through the roof. The night is still young, you don't have a choice.
So we are back. Ah, it is rock, but uh I mean it's rock for rock's sake almost. And not like, fill in the blank hyphen rock, at least to my
Yes.
ears. How would you describe it?
That that's the hardest thing to do, and I like your description because I don't want it to fit into one like convenient thing,
Hmm.
but that also makes it hard to promote because people like a convenient thing to
Hmm.
like just for at least to process it. They
Right.
can make whatever they want of it later, but for sending it out to people, will be like, yeah, this appeals to you
Hmm.
this way. It's garage. It's
Hmm.
whatever. Yeah.
Where would you put it, technologically or emotionally, let's say, in the story of your sort of pantheon of all your releases? Like, where would this sort of fit in, you think?
Um it like fits in the now, which is
Okay.
and it's the songs are about like real stuff,
Hmm.
which I didn't really do before. I liked making rock songs.
Hmm.
And like here's a catchy rock song in this weird little subgenre style that maybe only resonates in my brain.
Hmm.
Like I want to make a song that sounds like that. And then I do that and just write blast out some nonsense BS lyrics about whatever, as long as they weren't as long as they weren't embarrassingly bad, then I was fine with it. But I worked a lot harder on these to make them like more of a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
there
there.
was a there's a track on the record, Terrified, that I think the first recorded version of that came out on a cassette, right, Kyle? I'm thinking
Yes.
back, right?
Nice, man.
And like that was like one of the first times, this is a new recording of Terrified, obviously, but when Kyle played that cassette or that, that I guess what would you call it, an EP or something,
Yeah.
on cassette. Yeah, it was the first time he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I feel like I'm in a weird headspace and I'm making music that like actually is personal for like the first time in a really long time. And some of the songs that came out of that, like Kyle did all sorts of artsy, fartsy, noisy stuff on that cassette that made it was different in a lot of different ways. But like, um, he played it for us and we were all kind of sitting around like, yeah, dude, this is new. Like this is the inside of your brain that we always, that when we're talking to you one on one, this is what we see. And it was rocking. It was good
Yeah.
stuff.
That's a really good call. Like, it's there are sort of uh uh traditional rock feelings throughout it, but not in this hammy way. Like it's this you get like like just like a hot dog or a sandwich or something, and yeah, I know what a hot dog or a sandwich is, but this one's really good. I don't know, there's just something about it. um
Yeah. I
we
like that.
we love bizarre hypotheticals here on Space Couch, um and they don't always work. But if you were to if middle angst, sort of the ether, the ephemera of it, was one of the classic GI Joe cartoon characters, do you know which one it would be?
I defer to Dan, and for you personally, Brian, and for your audience, I feel kind of embarrassed. I don't really know the old GI Joe,
No, that's
or
all right, man. It was it yeah, I don't expect everybody to have the same weird
yeah,
fascinations as I do.
God, this is absolutely wretched, right? Because like I totally thought Kyle was gonna field this one for me, so I wouldn't have to do it.
No, it's okay.
But like, do you like when you were watching GI Joe as a kid and you first saw Cobra Commander like remove the mask and he was an actual snake? Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
hell yeah, I was once a man. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Like I was once a man. Like I mean, there's just like you have this perception of what Cobra Commander is.
Uh huh.
He's just sort of a bad dude who's trying to make money all the time.
Right.
Give or take. He's always stealing cash. But like there was evil in there. And I'm not saying Kyle's evil because he's not. But
Right.
like it wasn't what I was expecting when Middle Angst came out.
Oh, god
You
damn
know,
it. Your answer's
that's
so
that
much
was
better
it.
than mine. That's really good, man. I'll throw mine out just because I brought it up. I had it at Hawk or Flint. Like one of these guys that they were technically a later addition to the show, but they felt like they'd always been there and
Yes.
imminently belonged.
That's
Um,
Yes.
that's beautiful too. I love that. That's
right.
really
Well,
good.
then we just sort of made a peanut butter cup because I think that's what the album encompasses. Like you get this like I don't even give a fucking shit like happiness, and then you get this I have a metal mask on my face so you don't see that I'm not even fully a person. Like it's all in there, and we just got way deeper than I ever thought we'd get vis-a-vis GI Joe.
Oh.
But god damn it, did I miss you guys? Um,
This is like you can even like I when like we talk about deep moments that should not be deep moments like
right.
in the world of Brian, you know. It, like Kyle or Brian, you mentioned it earlier. Like we met at like student orientation at UW Madison like a million years ago now,
Yeah.
and like we did connect and like we talked about accordions and keyboard music and weird, you know, a million different things. And like we were both super excited about just life probably and like super excited, everybody's open and wants to make friends in those
18,
moments.
you know.
But like I think I like bolted for like half a day because I couldn't handle orientation anymore, and I walked back in and Brian is sitting like on the floor back against the wall, and you were pounding ice cream and like pounding it like you were. And I don't know if you remember this,
No.
but like and like and I'm like, hey dude, what's going on? And he looks at and Brian looks at me and he's like, dude, orange sherbet chocolate chip. I had to buckle in for this. And it was like this, you were so deep into this orange sherbet chocolate chip ice cream at the moment. I was just like, I love this man, and I am gonna make a point of being friends with this person
Oh,
for forever now. That's what's gonna
oh,
happen.
wow. You just found like an old hard drive of my brain that hasn't been turned on in 20 years. Just the I don't remember it, but just the joy of pounding ice cream at
Yes.
18. This will be fine tomorrow. Like I'm not gonna regret this years later. Like
Oh man,
oh god. Well,
beautiful.
speaking of wonderful live experiences, obviously we're a bit curtailed now. I haven't. We played Crucible in Madison, in weirdly, um, like just at the start of the pandemic. We probably spread it. Um, like, like, like people, like some people weren't showing up, and it was at that time it was like we'll knock this out in 2 weeks, right? Like it was. Can you believe this might go on into a second week? And
Mhm.
so many weeks later, we're still, I'll say, largely bereft of live shows. How pumped are you to get back to Rocket Bureau Live?
Very,
Okay. Okay.
very. Uh, just practicing every week. What is
Really?
sorely missed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
that.
know. I'm Brian. You don't. I don't know if you do this. You're able to do this much practice with people with your other collaborations and
Mhm.
different projects. Like, but
A
this
little
is.
bit.
Do you? And when we do it, like it's a weekly thing. I mean, we're
Really?
always together. Yeah, we see each other so regularly that, you know, we know what's going on in everybody's family. You know, week to week,
Wait a
just because
minute.
it's together.
God, Kyle, are you wearing what I think you're wearing?
He is.
Oh, you have a sleeping disorder shirt. Oh man, that is a 20-year-old. That is the 22-year-old shirt right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I was
Woo!
like
There's a
an hour before this started, I was like, I think I
well
still have
done, man. Well done. And Dan, I'm sorry to talk
No.
over you, but it's just I had to jump in there and amend what I said. If because when I say a little bit, and you're going off of once a week, I mean like once a year. Like we'll
that.
and Not even that, really. I say that because after moving, it was really a weird kind of go back to Madison moment for me after moving to Boston because the guy that I play with in the Gossicles out here is this old school noise guy who knows one of the noise guys I used to hang out with back in Madison who lives in New York City now. So for me, it was this giant return to, he does these like, or did, these like noise salons in like just his living room. And it was the craziest thing to be like, this is, and I had this thought. This makes me think of Cafe Assisi back when you guys would come see Sleeping Disorder live, because I hadn't been in this like in now we're all over 40 in this communal environment, and I bring that all up because I came home just like pumped up, like high, like I hadn't been around people like my life so much at the time musically was like, all right, I'll work on my part in Cubase and you work on your part in Cubase and one of us will mix it and now we're in a band together.
Yeah.
And I still think that's valid like for me, but I'm just piggybacking what you're saying that like, yeah, it can be really great to just not only see your friends but play music together.
Yeah.
And now that that's not we might I don't know what's it like in Wisconsin. Are you guys back or
Not bad.
Uh,
okay?
Madison's pretty cautious in general, just because they got the university here. Obviously,
Oh, okay.
um, we're not back. Parts of Wisconsin are sort of getting more comfortable. I mean, everyone's sort of risk aversion is different at this point. Everybody's been dealing with it for a long time, but we're not there yet. I mean, Kyle and I were able to get together a few times and sit on his porch, and
Okay.
chat. Kyle does a radio show
Oh,
occasionally.
awesome.
Um, but
yeah.
they were, what are you guys were doing, recording it outside? Serious, I think, right?
Yeah. We did one Friday night on the porch.
Yeah.
We
Gas,
set up a big
man. Well,
set
tell
up a
me about your
table.
radio show.
What's that?
Tell me about your radio show.
Oh, it's basically by default. Me and my friend Bob ended up with one during pandemic because our other two friends, Shinker and Bootsy, had a regular show on a WRT, the local community radio station,
Hey.
and like they couldn't go to the studio to do the show once lockdown started, and since like both Bob and myself have like big stupid record collections and some recording equipment at home. It's like, oh, we can just pre-record shows and they can keep having new stuff.
Awesome.
So we've been doing that. But then when the weather's nice, we have those two original hosts over, and then all four of us go on set up on my porch. So there's enough space for everybody, but we can record a radio show from there.
Very cool. And that's just like you playing records, or where do we?
Yeah,
And
records, CDs. We've been doing some weird old like regional indie rock cassettes and stuff. Like whatever, anything goes.
can we hear that on just the Wart website, or
Yeah, they've got an app now too. There's a
oh,
WRT app. You can it's great for people with like day jobs because the show usually airs every other Tuesday night at 11 p.m. to like
okay.
2 a.m. or something.
Right, right. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's and toss out the name of your show?
It's on the archives on the app as Not Too Shabby.
Not too shabby. Well, cool,
Not
man.
too,
Um, once you guys get back going, like, do you have like a home base performance, like a venue that you like to play in Madison there?
yeah, at this point, it's pretty much Mickey's Tavern
Okay.
is kind of the only game in town.
Mickey's
uh,
Tavern. Where is that?
it's on Willie Street.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and there or sometimes the Crystal Corner Bar, also on Willie Street. They're like the couple years before pandemic was like a local venues,
Mm,
fewer and fewer, and yeah, it's kind of been it
yeah,
was already going downhill.
the Infernos, where we always played is long gone, and the aforementioned Cafe Assisi is way way long
Yes.
gone. What is and if let me know if this is too like woo woo, but what is the vibe of Madison, Wisconsin now. Like I'd gone back in 2020, and some stuff was the same, but like I didn't recognize anything on State Street, and
Yeah.
I'm skipping the name of it now that because I'm on TV, but that weird carousel themed restaurant out by the
Oh,
Taco Bell, that was
Ellis
gone.
Ellie.
Yeah, that's gone. Like I
Yep.
didn't know where I was because I'm like, all right, we're gonna come across Ella's, and like I did a couple passes and went like, is it gone? Um,
Yep.
and I got the sense that it's still, for those of you who don't know, Madison, Wisconsin was rock and roll, hippy dippy, super leftist uh, center out of nowhere. And is it still that, or is it a little bit more spit shined?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I like that, like Ellis Deli, that whole that was on East
Hmm.
Washington Avenue, like that whole stretch of that street from there to the Capitol used to be tons of like abandoned empty buildings that were just
Hmm.
kind of nothing. That's all knocked down. It's all
Okay.
becoming condos with like retail on the first floor, that kind
Hmm.
of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, that's it's all kind of being like that, and that's a lot of partially I think why Mickey's has become sort of the savior.
Mm,
They, it's just it's a used to be a crummy dive bar, and not, but then they got a kitchen at some point, so it's
nice.
like still looks like it used to, but they have good food, and but it's become a touring stop or it was a touring stop for all kinds of like underground
Oh,
bands
okay, cool.
around the country. It's like a really good spot,
It's like this
and
this
yeah,
this fossil out of time. Like or
It is,
what?
and it's free. I mean, like they pay out of pocket for these touring bands to stop through, and like, and it's free. You walk in. I mean, and
Oh,
talking about like communal, like you feel like you're walking into somebody's house because it's sort of that old. It is an old hotel, right, Kyle?
I think so. Yeah,
From back in the day. But you walk in and it feels like you're walking into somebody's house, and like there's a band set up in a space that's way too small for a band, and but everybody is absolutely in on cloud nine and loves it. Um, Kyle hit on it, like a certain mega conglomerate, who sells tickets and buys music venues came through town. And I don't know what the reaches of your show, so we won't say Live Nation on the air, but um, but they took over all the venues.
Live Nation
They
did.
just bought everything up,
Okay.
So these small shops where the sort of the locals hang and the regional tours come through, that's the bread and butter, and that's where
Hmm.
everybody's built the community.
That's pretty awesome, man. I'm flashing
and then
back to like I think
oh yeah, go
were
ahead.
you with like we went to go see if I had a hi-fi at like Alaska Bar or something like that. I don't, I'm just
God.
it
Where
was
would they?
that like one of those weird. It was like out on Commerce, like kind of by where the Inferno used to be. Like, at least in the map of my mind. I don't know. I
Yeah.
I was really hammered for a lot of those years.
Oh, was it the basement of the Chinese restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
The Bluefin. It had another name before that, I think.
Something like that. All these weird
Yes.
little like Madison, like it's in the back of this thing, and you talk to a
Yes.
guy named James, and then he gives you the like
The nod, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like my cousin's place is his hairdresser's garage, and that was like a legit venue.
Yeah.
There's Kiki's too, right, Kyle? I mean, Kiki's
Yeah.
Righteous House of Music, like legit house basement that like major touring groups come through all the time. I mean, it's just a
And
huge deal.
Friend of the show,
you,
Bad Seat 666 says here we have a place called Underground Rock Shop. It was a store. That's cool. Furroy, Commodore 64 programmer extraordinaire says, hey oh to you, sir.
yep.
Um, so Dan, uh, we've been exploring the past a bit. Smash cut to 2021. You're a dad. That's amazing, man.
It
Uh,
is.
Tell me
I
about
I, I enjoy it. I will tell you about it. Sure.
it.
No, I enjoy being a dad. It's wonderful. I got a little guy who's about 4 now. Um, like segue into Rocket Bureau stuff, but like when we were just found out that we were going to be having a mini human.
Hmm.
We like Kyle had just got the gumption to like ask me to play in a live version of Rocket Bureau,
Hmm.
and I'm like, and he could see my face like I was about to have a kid, and he's like, dude, I really want to get a live band going with this project again, and I'm like, yes, but I also have something to tell you. And then I saw Kyle's face drop, and he's like, dude, you're how are you gonna do? I'm like, we'll figure it out. Like we'll figure out how to make time and do something, and we did. I mean, if there's something that you want to do, have a good support group behind you
Hmm.
and friends and family, and you make something happen the best you can. So it's good. It's awesome.
Awesome.
We love it.
And
We have a nice little household, and it's pandemic time. So like we
right.
spent a lot of time together.
And but I'm happy you were and will be able to again make some time for live rock. Before I forget, um, tell me about the evolution, if that's the right word to use, of the motors into Rocket Bureau.
Okay. Yeah. Like basically the motors was myself and Dan, our friends Josh on drums and Aaron on guitar. We put out 3 full-length albums. Um, we played a lot
Hmm.
around Madison, sometimes out of town. Yeah, and it just kind of ran its course as stuff does.
Okay.
It just wound down, and I was playing it. I was recording other bands and playing in a bunch of other bands besides,
Hmm.
as well as like holding down a full-time gig outside of that the whole time.
Hmm.
So it just kind of like everyone else got busy with stuff, so it just kind of got swept under the rug for a while. And then I got it. I was playing like drums in a honky tonk country band.
I love it.
Like we had a weekly gig for several years, and it was super fun. But I also like really missed playing rock
Uh
and then obnoxiously loud stuff.
huh. And you
So
are multi-talented. Do you do all the instrumentation on the middle lengths?
yeah,
That's
I play all
awesome.
this in there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
I remember
yeah,
before we'd met and Dan was sort of pitching you to me. He's like, "My buddy does everything." I'm like, what do you mean everything? Like guitar and bass? Like you can't you can't do drums and strings and sing. What is he, a machine man? But that's what is he, a Yamaha QY10? That's what he looks like then. Um,
wow,
Still got it. Um,
nice.
the So I'm happy, but not even surprised you pulled that off again. But wow, drums in a country honky tonk band, and then so was it
Yeah,
just I really miss rock. Let's do a Bureau of Rocketry.
yeah, and
Okay,
I I kind of I was also gigging. One of the bands I recorded a bunch. I was recording other bands starting in like
that's a pretty
2004.
cool gig, man. Like, did you just
Yeah,
everyone was just like, "There's this guy, and he really knows what he's doing," or what you did it? You just
That's it. No,
okay,
you hit it on the head right there. There's this
okay,
dude who knows what he's doing. He's got really good equipment.
okay.
Like that's really that's like, and then people started coming over from Milwaukee seeking Kyle out.
Nice, man.
yeah, yeah. I ended up being like kind of a go-to guy for a little bit of a scene of the Milwaukee like kind of garage rocker scene. Because I would record them live as much as possible, like
Oh, word.
guitars, bass, drums, all in one room, no headphones, just go play your stuff, and then we'll tack vocals and other stuff on after that. And I recorded this band called the Midwest Beat from when they were just starting out. I was just starting out recording other bands,
Hmm.
and they liked how it turned out, and I liked working with them, and they kept doing their stuff with me through the years. We became friends, and then by the time they did their last couple albums with me, they kind of recruited me to play keys live on some shows,
Awesome.
and then they ended up taking me to Europe on a tour,
Kick
playing.
ass.
That was in 2015, spring of 2015.
Oh, wow.
That was awesome. I want to do that again
That
someday.
sounds amazing. I did a little mini tour in Europe, and I can kind of check that box barely, but
Yeah,
not a full on European like. Like that sounds great. Um, Man, give me one. Like, did you have like what was like a real standout show for you on that one? Like, who brings it? Is it
Uh,
something?
we did a we since we could play like a lot of we could pull a lot of oldies covers out of
Mhm.
nowhere, and their original stuff was it was current, but it like wasn't out of place with like CCR or something like that.
Okay.
So we the booking company that put the tour together, they knew someone that was looking for a band to play their wedding.
Mhm.
And so we got to be the wedding band at this crazy wedding reception in a barn in the Black Hills of Germany. It was the best time I've ever had. It was
That's
so fun.
amazing.
There was like it was like super mountainous, and there was like fresh beer that they brewed at the top of the hill that they brought down to the wedding, and
Get
everybody had
out.
just like the crowd, the people there were amazingly nice, and they
Uh-huh.
had so much fun. It was a blast.
Heck yes. That's an all time. That's an all
Yeah,
time.
there were
Um
like multiple tiers to the barn, like multiple
mm.
floors, and in the basement they had skate ramps. There were dudes that showed up at weddings.
What?
They took off their like suit coats and they were down there skating, hitting the half pipe and
That
stuff.
is
It was the
wow.
craziest thing I've
That
ever
is the
seen. It was so
craziest venue I've ever like you're playing like at a storybook location in the hills of
yes.
Germany, like all like oh yeah, we hit the triple third invert and like oh all right. So, alles
It
klar.
was
Um that is awesome. Time is just flying by. I want to touch on this because I'm excited about this too. I have recently learned that you're a fellow Neil Breen fan, or just bad movies in general.
yeah.
Um, but the what Orson Welles of recent Orson Welles of bad movies uh,
I'd say that you have your
is
Tommy Wiseau's
y-
and others that like make one stink burger and whatever. He's made five.
and
And
credit to where it's due. Like those guys are great, like the Birdemics and stuff of the world.
yes, absolutely.
Wonderful work. Like I uh, I I was working my own merch booth, which it's never a great sign. At and we're opening for Assemblage 23, like lauded, wonderful industrial band who just moved to Boston. And like they came out to one of our shows. It was like, what are you doing here? But and merch sales weren't like going lightning fast. So I just to say something to the guy, I'm like, you into bad movies at all? Because like I really love them, and just the relief and the light that went into his face. And it's like, oh, dude, I have so many movies I need to tell you about. And so for you at home, Neil Breen, check it out. Bring a seatbelt. Uh, it's really crazy. These really crazy movies. The my favorite of them, and I think kind of the best is Fateful Findings. I had this weird idea to see if you could, because now we get to learn about your. Hey, Craig and Nuts Thirds here from Toronto. What's up? Um, we get to learn about your musical influences. So if you could work in some of your musical influences to either Fateful Findings specifically, a Neil Breenish setting, or even just a general bad movie, like put him in Jim Cotta or something like that. Um,
Oh. I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking for,
uh
but I
huh.
thought of it and I wrote some things
Oh
down.
my God!
And I don't know if I'm like doing this right or biffing it big time, but like like Cheap Trick is basically Double Down, where he's always eating a can of tuna. The tuna that nourishes him is Cheap Trick.
Oh yeah, Double
I guess
Down.
I guess I'm putting myself in Neil Breen's shoes to
Great,
describe
great.
these.
Yes,
Yeah,
perfect.
and then Thin Lizzy is also Double Down. It's the satellites and the broken laptops he uses for hacking.
Oh yes. Oh, he loves hacking.
He loves hacking.
Which
And the dual satellites, because Thin Lizzy always had like the big thing that we copy up from them is some harmonized dual lead guitars.
Oh, you
He's got
worked in yes. Well, dual satellites. Well done.
um I love obscure bubblegum 45s from the late 60s, early
Okay.
70s. So my collection of those is like Double Down when he's waking up underneath the car all the time, and
Oh
as
yeah.
Elton did in Blood on the underside.
Doubled is double down the one where there's like people are like Mexicans are crossing the border and
That I believe that is
that's
pass through.
yes, that I got it mixed up. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's easy to mix them up because there's so much wandering around the desert.
right. There was when we're married now, but when we
Congratulations, by the
oh
way.
thank you thank
Marriage.
you
Hello.
thank you
Yeah.
yeah well
My
we
God.
I
That's amazing.
know
That's so
when
great. Congrats,
thanks
dude. Yeah,
dude.
we should have opened with that. Hello.
Well, we it's interesting. Like we just kind of move through our lives, and some things stay the same. And rock music, we're kind of emotionally picking right back up. And you're a father. I'm married, and when we were dating, not you and I, but
Yeah,
when my now wife and I were just sort of dating, she was lived in Las Vegas, and so we're watching Fateful Findings for the first time, and they're sort of walking through our park, and it was like, "Get out of our park, you crazy person!" Like,
oh man, that's awesome.
because this Neil Breen guy just lives in Las Vegas and has all these. He's always God-ish and is always in the desert, so it's really easy to mix him up. But there's two
Yes,
satellites in Double Down, much like the two guitars in Thin Lizzy and obscure Bubblegum 45, which I didn't know you collected. Uh,
yeah.
those are oh gosh, what a great time for music when like anything was a song. You know what I mean? Just like got my coffee cup. I do. All right, yeah. No one's disputing that
Just
fact, sir.
just make it catchy enough. You don't need an it or anything.
Terry on Tiger Squawk Records from Batavia says, "I can see your mug better. It does not say Mary Kate. No, it says Soy Calf. It's from Shadowrun." Um, did you have any more Neil Breen hypotheticals?
I've got a handful. I
Okay,
could.
lay him on me, man.
All right. Um, there's a like a 90s to 2000s band from Ohio called Prison Shake, who I really have come to love. Um, they're they're to me like the pass through newsroom rant that Breen goes on,
Why?
where where he basically says that he just killed 300 million people because
do, do,
um,
okay,
yeah,
they're just that much of a force that they're ruinous and Photoshop dead bodies everywhere, like the end of that movie.
yeah, and they're very adversarial a little bit
Okay,
and just like
okay,
cocky. It's like this is my thing.
gotcha.
But yeah, they're not insane like Green. Then obscure late 60s, early 70s hooky rock 45s, which is really vague, but that's basically the 5.5 hour filmmaking documentary that Breen
Oh,
recently.
I don't know about that one.
Oh God, for
Do it.
160 bucks, you can buy this multi DVD set from him. It's just Breen talking about how he made his movies, and it's basically like a. It's not a documentary as much of it's as it's him trying to teach a filmmaking class or something.
That's crazy. I
I've
mean,
only seen that. It's insane.
it's on brand, but that's like really crazy. Okay,
It it's where you don't know now if he's a genius troll or just who you think he is. It's ridiculous. I got two more. I got the
yeah.
Hollies. That's basically Fateful Findings, no more books. I don't know if I have connected that, but yeah. And then Guided by Voices as an influence is basically all of the Neil Breen movies when he's wandering around in the desert.
We did it. I shouldn't say we because I didn't do anything except sit here and yak. Well done, sir. You did it. You did it. I didn't. I try to write these questions beforehand and sort of mash things together because then you get a twofer. And
Yeah.
this is the first time in 99 episodes I was like, this may be a bad idea. This one might be a bad idea, but you just kicked it out here into space. Like your answer just flew by the couch here. Like that's how far out into space you just kicked it. You record bands now. That is amazing. Give me one or two things that a common mistake home recorders might make.
Thing I touched on earlier, second guessing and
Mm-hmm.
not being able to let things go. And another mistake I made with this, trying to get this album done that I usually don't, is use your ears.
Mm.
Don't think about stuff so much. Just listen.
Okay.
And I know it's harder if you're like I primarily use analog tape machines, but
Wow.
yeah, I've got a 2-inch 16 track from the 70s in my basement that's bigger than Dan helped move it down there. He can attest to how unwieldy it is.
Yeah, it's staying down there.
And yeah, it's a little easier with a setup like that as opposed to a DAW where you're staring at a
Mm-hmm.
screen, so you're thinking visually about stuff all the time. But you just have to like sometimes just turn that off and just listen and get it sounding right and stop thinking about
It's
it sometimes.
true. It's true. Would you recommend, somebody who was, let's say, 18 or 19, going all the way back to when we met? Do I want to spend $20 and treat a room with foam or any of that goings on?
Uh, that it comes into the listening thing.
Okay.
Like I record bands like full on live in my basement. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a old Wisconsin wood paneled finished basement. It actually sounds pretty good down there, so I haven't done anything to it.
Oh, okay.
Um, but again, use your ears. So like if you have a weird sounding space, like if you clap and you hear odd
Mm-hmm.
echoes, like really precise interval echoes and stuff, then you're probably going to want to put some treatment up or something. If it's not just kind of a natural like
Mm.
or just really tight, then yeah, listen to the room. If you're recording live drums, like carry the kick drum around with you with a pedal attached to it and set it in different spots and hear how it sounds where you hit it, because that makes a difference when you mic everything else up. And yeah,
It's so true, man. Like,
yeah,
meaning, like, it took me a while for me to just kind of, and I know I'm bringing it back to myself, but just in terms of relating to it, like, because I get so analytical and like everything sort of takes place in this computer, or I get a little bit stuff oriented. Like, what do you mean? I need this mic, and the room has to be treated that way. And if I'm not doing this, it's not right. And then you turn those
mhm,
things off in the DAW, or you don't worry about having a treated room or any of that. You could, shit, this
yeah,
sounds better. I should have just
yeah,
instead of checking boxes in my head, I should have just been like, oh, well, I already have these things on the side of my head that I should have just been using the whole
yeah.
time.
I still fight with that too. It's like I need this kind of mic if I really want to
Mhm.
do this sort of thing. It's like no, you don't. Does it sound the thing you're trying to capture sound good to
Mhm.
begin with? Then just do it. It'll sound fine no matter what you use with it.
Yeah, like I had Iris, who some of the audience might know from "Annie, What I Lie to You" was a big hit a while back, and they're still making wonderful music. Like they hit number one in Poland, like on the real, like the radio, like Britney
Oh
Spears
wow.
charts.
Yeah.
Um, I found out he lived down the street I was in Chicago for a long, long time, and I was like, Iris lives down the street. What the fuck? And like, he was a really nice guy, and he helped me out a lot. I learned a lot from him. And I went over to his place thinking I was just gonna walk into some sort of sonic space with a suspended sphere, it, floating in the middle of the room like by magnets. Just laptop, and I'm like, so like, yeah, I'm recording everything in like 96 hertz, 24-bit. He's like, nah, 4416, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He's like, nah, it's just you just gotta make it sound good. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Have good ideas. Put a song together, and
right.
then have the sounds that sound good, and there you go.
He's like,
Speaking of that, your output, Brian, is like insane.
oh,
Like
well,
Yes.
like I spent like a few weeks, I don't know, like a year ago catching up on your output, and then like we were talking again. I'm like, oh my god, like there's another giant pile of stuff that I have not been on top
It's
of. Like you're a
nonstop.
crazy person, man.
Yeah, I gotta, or I just like I don't know. I'll spin out because I'm just in space. It's just me and space dog, and
Right.
occasionally space wife. Um, yeah, I like to stay busy. Uh, Funny you say that. I will be advertising a new product next week, but that is next week. Um, Speaking of industrial music, we do have we go all over the place. We've had you know video game programmers and game designers and stuff on here, rock musicians, punk bands, but we tend to skew industrial. I meant to say, just because that's what I listen to. And Dan, you had a story you
Oh
touched
god.
on about you went on a camping trip with the guy from Electric Hellfire Club.
This is I threw this out there thinking we would have nothing to talk about for like an hour,
Uh,
and like not knowing that Kyle did his homework on his bad movies. Like
well,
at this point, like there is a short story to this, like because it is my industrial connection to this
okay.
world because it was one of my introductions to the industrial world.
Uh huh.
Like was through family connections, and I swear, Brian, we've talked about family connections to weird
Yeah.
stars aligning, didn't you, at some point? And through family, we knew Thomas Thorne
Uh huh.
from the Electric Hellfire Club, briefly of like My Life with Thrill Kill Cult,
Right.
back in the 90s, right? And like we ended up like me and my dad and a bunch of other people went on a camping trip in the Grand Canyon. And
Well,
one of
with
the
your
people in
dad,
our
and
group,
like
yeah,
that's
and my dad.
uh,
And like I have these vivid memories of not knowing who Electric Hellfire Club was at the time because
huh.
it's like 1995 give or take, and my brain hadn't gone there yet.
Uh
And meeting this guy, wearing, I don't even know what he was probably wearing, probably like an I Heart Satan T-shirt or
right.
something at the time with the flaming red hair. Um, but then like following him around the Grand Canyon, like like which is pretty granola, and
Right.
seeing this flaming red mane like pass people on the trail of this beautiful immense natural expanse, and then there's Thomas Thorne, like it was still like I think it probably had studs,
Yeah,
on his
this
backpack
is
would be my guess.
1995. Like
Yeah,
having an earring or something is a big deal on a dude.
right. Yeah. And
Let
he
alone,
always used to walk around with like, dwarves t-shirts on, the dwarves from
oh yeah,
Chicago, like gratuitous nudity, like
oh yeah,
t-shirts,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was just like, I'm like, talk about like walking into the twilight zone, of experiences. Yeah, that was that, but that set some things off. Like, I was like, okay, this is a new world I didn't know about. Like, I need to dive down this rabbit hole too. So of course you do, like that's how it goes.
Oh yeah, that's I was trying to think if I could match your wonderful story about going on a camping trip with your dad and Electric Hellfire Club, and I can't really, but my if we do Milwaukee, my parents will come out, um, and we were playing. We were opening for a beloved industrial band called Velvet Acid Christ, and my mom's joke was that she had to tell her girlfriends that she had to skip church the next morning, but she was seeing Velvet Acid Christ the night before, so like it kind of balanced out.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
that was that was a good one, and yeah, well, playing Milwaukee's always weird because for me, because like my parents will come out and be like, "Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'll see you motherfuckers tomorrow," and then I'll go home and sleep in my race car sheets that I got from like
Yes.
a little kid. You want to check out Middle Angst on rocketbureau.bandcamp.com on Overdue Miracle Records. It's really great. I like vinyl personally. I'm a sucker for it. I don't have quite the visual background you do, uh, there, Kyle, but it's not it's not exclusive to that medium if you want to pick it up
Yep.
digitally. I recommend you do check out some other tracks on there, like Borantine. I had a lot of fun with, and so forth. You want to check out Rocket Bureau live at Mickey's Tavern when we get back into full swing. Vaccinations start Monday for lower tier risk people here in Boston and space. I have a terrestrial base in Boston.
Oh, okay.
I haven't quite worked out like the mythos of it yet, so I slip up sometimes. Um, you can check out Space Couch Pillows at zazzle.com/slash the Gothsicles. You want to check out, oh no, I'm blanking on your radio show. Not Too Shabby
Not too
on
shabby.
Wart. Uh, Dan, you want to plug anything?
No, man. I'm just pleased as punch we got to hang with you, brother.
You are consider this a standing invite to come back anytime and just I've had that fucking orange sherbet story just
It's in my head. There's something implanted and drilled and like permanent, like you erase data by being in there. I'm not even kidding. Like you're taking up space in my brain.
I'm glad I was able to do a little load balancing of the mental hard drive there just because I have no memory of it, but I have no problem believing it just because that first week of like, I don't live at home anymore. I can do whatever I want. Woo! Like, oh, God.
I have a similar quick story. I think from maybe the first time I met you, we were hanging out with Dan. We were walking around somewhere in Madison, and I don't remember the rest of the story because you just started a sentence out of nowhere with, yeah, so I used to play in this shit metal band called Faded Memories. And
oh, yes.
I remember it.
I lost my shit right there.
Now I remember where we were. It's because there's the university is that street, and then it curves, and there's like the one gas station downtown, and there's some restaurant that's been there for a million years with outdoor seating, and we must have been feeling fancy because like our thing was to just Madison is very couch based. It's like very porchy kind of couch based, and we all wanted to eat, and yeah, I remember you gravitating to the phrase "shit metal band," but.
Faded Memories.
Faded Memories. That was
so good.
That was me and Tristram, who later went on to go help me write a song called Konami Code, which I still play over 20 years later. So bringing it back home. Well done.
There it
Good
is.
instinct
Full circle.
on that. We are going to go. Speaking of going full circle, we are in a rotational orbit around the moon. We're going to hit the dark side. So we're going to bring this rogue flight path back on into the station. This is Brian for Space Couch, for Dan and Kyle Motor, for Rocket Bureau. Oh, this has been a great episode. Come back anytime, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for Devanarchy. Interface with the couch in space. Space Couch. Ow! Ouch! Oh, you guys, this was such a good episode.
Oh, good work, brother. That was so much fun.
Yeah, this is, you know how it works with Facebook video. This will be available now. I'll let you know when I got the podcast. But I'm not kidding. Anytime you want to come back on Space Coach, let me know, okay?
Yeah, love to.
All right, awesome. I gotta figure out how to do...